A shortcut for simplifying this is to take a look at all the mini denominators, for lack of a better word, in these fractions within a fraction, and find a common denominator. So my mini denominators here are 5, 4, 2, and 4. I'm going to come over here and just write out the denominators 5, 4, and 2. I'm not going to use the duplicate. Notice I'm not finding the least common denominator because I want this to be a shortcut, and that takes extra time. So you take any of the numbers sitting in the denominator, multiply them together, and in this case I get 40. So if I take 40, then what I'm going to use that number 40 for is I'm going to multiply the numerator, the big numerator and denominator, by the number 40. Now don't let this look intimidating, because when you multiply by a fraction, it really means that you're multiplying by the numerator and dividing by the denominator. So in multiplying this through, I want to take 40 times 1/5, which means I'm taking 40 and dividing it by 5 and multiplying it by 1. So 40 divided by 5 is 8, and 8 times 1 is 8. Okay, now I'm going to take the 40 times this fraction. A positive 40 times a negative is going to be a negative. And then again, when I'm multiplying by this fraction, I'm dividing by the denominator and multiplying by the numerator. So 40 divided by 4 is 10, and 10 times 5 is 50, so I have minus 50. Now look at how easy that numerator looks. So let's do that again in the denominator. Okay, so 40 times 7/2. When you multiply by a fraction, you're dividing by the bottom, multiplying by the top. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. And 20 multiplied by 7, 2 times 7 is 14, add a 0, so that's 140. Okay, then 40 times a negative number, so we're going to have a negative answer. 40 divided by 4 is 10, and 10 multiplied by 3 is 30. This has cleaned this up substantially. 8 minus 50, if you have 8 and you owe 50, you still owe 42. 140 minus 30 is 110. This fraction can be simplified, and it's because we didn't use the least common denominator. They're both even, so I'm going to divide them both by 2. 2 fits into 4 twice, 2 fits into 2 once, so that's 21. And 110 divided by 2, half of 100 is 50, half of 10 is 5, so that's 55. So I have negative 21 over 55. If you like, you could put the negative off to the side of the fraction. I do want to contrast that with what if I would have found the least common denominator. So the smallest number that 2, 4, 5, and 4 all fit into is 20. And so if finding the least common denominator, if you can think of a number a little bit smaller that they all fit into, by all means use that number. So if I did decide to go with 20, which is just a great way to show this process one extra time here, I'm going to choose to multiply, instead of top and bottom by 40, by 20. So if I multiply by 20, I have, when you multiply by a fraction, you're dividing by the bottom and multiplying by the top. So 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 4 times 1 is 4. So this is going to be, so far, 4. Then this times this, 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 5 times 5 is 25, so I have minus 25. Okay, 20 multiplied by 7/2, multiplying by a fraction, you're dividing by the bottom, multiplying by the top. So 20 divided by 2 is 10, 10 times 7 is 70. And then positive times negative is going to be a negative. And then 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Then 4 minus 25 is negative 21, and 70 minus 15 is 55. And notice the fraction I got when I multiplied by the least common denominator, I got to the simplified version a little bit quicker. But finding the least common denominator is not always the fastest. So sometimes I just go with any number that they'll all fit into to multiply top and bottom by that number.